listen, started the week talking about the Dallas Cowboys season being over. They're not officially eliminated, but once they got beaten to go 5-8 in the NFC by the Cincinnati Bengals, I'm like, it's over.
Season is not over.
Well, for some, but
not true.
For the Dallas Cowboys, it's going to take a lot of help and a lot of winning by a team that hasn't shown the ability to win consistently. And now it's time to say that about the defending NFC champion San Francisco 49ers. Didn't think the season would play out this way. Certainly they didn't either. But there was always something up about this team, even in the spring. You know, Brandon Ayuk being on the trading block draft week, then he's not, then he's there for the summer, then he's not. FaceTiming with Jaden Daniels, who had yet to play a lick in the NFL, and it's like, what's going on with this whole setup? Then he does sign, then Trent Williams signs, and then everything's hunky-dory. It's like, okay, everything's going to be fine. And then Christian McCaffrey starts sitting out some practices, no big deal, he was saying. He was saying that just the Friday before the first week of the season, first practice week to open up the season. And then a week later, the Friday before his first game, and suddenly it's not one but two Achilles issues with tendonitis. And then everybody starts dropping like flies around there. And then they wound up, starting the season, beating the Jets on a Monday night, still look great. Then they go to Minnesota and get spanked. And then they wind up in Los Angeles in week 3. But the Rams are also banged up. They didn't have Kupp. They didn't have Nakua. They didn't have their left side of their offensive line. They didn't have anybody, and yet they still won, coming back from 13 down, 13 unanswered points in the fourth quarter to beat the Niners. And then suddenly something's up. But even then, I'm like, at some point, everybody's going to come back healthy. At some point, they're going to get healthy. They're going to be one of the best teams because they do have one of the deepest rosters. But in the same way, I've been kind of, having my way with all the delusional Ohio State fans saying, where's the banner for best roster in football? The Niners aren't raising a banner this year for anything. And I'm kind of stunned about it, to be honest with you. As the Rams and the 49ers play last night. Go figure this. We come on the air talking about how the first time McVay and Shanahan ever matched wits as head coaches, we were there. 41-39 final. Yep. These two teams coming off of points of paloozas, man. These two teams, the Rams played in a game on Sunday in which it was the most combined points ever scored in an NFL game where neither team turned it over. That's the record the Rams set with the Bills. And then the Niners just had one of their best offensive games of the year against the Chicago Bears. They had 319 total yards in the first half. Last night, they had 191 total yards, period. That was their second worst such output in the Kyle Shanahan era, only surpassed by the 161 total yards they had in the 2022 NFC Championship game season in Philadelphia, where Purdy got hurt early on. They were forced to go to Josh Johnson, quarterback number 4 for him on the season, and then they wound up at some point wildcatting it up with Christian McCaffrey and put Purdy back out there with a bad wing. That's how poor of an offensive night they had on Thursday night against the Rams. They're down a running back number 3, but Isaac Guerrero still in this system was getting it done. But in the rain, a lot of pain. And I don't turn this into a Dr. Seuss rhyme, because at this point in time, they will not get to the playoffs this year. Even if they had won last night, they would have had to gotten some help, even if they had won out after winning last night. Now, you saw on the Prime Video broadcast, their next-gen stats gave them a chance of making the playoffs after this loss at 0.1%. That's Dumb and Dumber type possibilities. 6-8, having been swept by the Rams. The Cardinals are 6-7, but the Cardinals shocked the 49ers in their home. The Seahawks are 8-5. They've already split with the Niners because they won in San Francisco too. They're losing division games. They're losing games late. They're just losing games now with one of their players walking off the field, saying he don't want to play anymore, in Devondre Campbell, which was a stunner, which we'll get to in a second. Brock Purdy didn't look good last night at all. That final interception when they needed some points on that drive where he airmailed Jawan Jennings. And, you know, Kirk Herbstreit did show that it wasn't all on Purdy because, you know, Jennings got knocked off his route and an interception in the end zone. But Purdy had this to say after the game, taking the entire blame on his shoulders.
That's what's hurting me is I just feel like I failed the team. That I could have been better for our offense and we could have put up more points. But Rams are a good team overall. But more than anything, for the way that we play on offense and our standard, I could have been better for sure.
I mean, they've lost 3 of their last 4. They came off their bye. They beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa. And then they lost at home to Seattle. They lose at Green Bay. They got smoked in the Buffalo snow. They bounced back against a Bears team that had fired their coach and also defensive play caller, and the defense looked like it. And then last night against the Rams. This is all she wrote, folks, and I hate to say it. We're going to have a new, for the Niners fans, we're going to have a new NFC champion this year. We're going to have a new NFC champion this year. And picking up the pieces at this point in time, you know, they have a Purdy decision to come. They also, I mean, the whole idea was they signed Ayuk this year. This is going to be the last run with Debo, who was talking this week about not getting the football enough. He got community noted on Twitter by saying that he leads the team in drops, and this photograph we have on the screen here was his reaction after dropping one that Purdy put right in his hands, in his gut, with nothing but space in front of him. And every Rams fan will tell you Debo would usually take that and take it to the house, and not just from the red zone where he dropped the ball, from anywhere on the field. Debo would do that to the Rams. That is a hallmark of the Niners' 6-game win streak against the Rams that ended in the NFC Championship game, in which, by the way, Debo did take one to the house anyway. Debo had this to say after the game.
Very, very frustrating. Like, end of the day, like, it's that ball. It's nothing there but the end zone. At the end of the day, just got to get that route.
I mean, you know you've been able to do that in the past.
Just like seeing a moment, came across the middle and see nothing but the end zone at the end of the day. Like, got to look the ball in and go score.
Mm-hmm. He still had the DJ Moore gamer in his locker from the previous week. I guess they swapped jerseys, right?
I can ask you if you noticed that.
Yeah, I noticed that. I'm behind him. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.